Hi there, this is Ranjit, and in this video, let me talk about how much you should invest in a smartphone. And this is going to be a very weird kind of video coming from a tech reviewer. And I'll tell you some of the pitfalls that I see many youngsters doing when they are buying the smartphones. And I don't want to get too technical, but I'll give you an overview. And again, stay tuned till the end of the video. And I'll also share my personal thoughts if I were not a tech reviewer, how much I would have invested in smartphones. So let's talk about it. And if you know a little bit of finance, smartphones, when you buy, these are actually called depreciating assets. That means over time they will lose money, and you know that if you're buying an Android phone, let's say even you buy the latest swanky one, the best, just after a year, if you try to go and sell it, the value that you would get is actually really low. So again, I would say the amount of money, let's say if your smartphone is about 50,000 or so, after a year, if you try to go and sell it in the aftermarket, these days with an Android phone, hardly you'll get about 15-20,000 if you are lucky. Because what happens is that many of these vendors, after some time, 6 months, 8 months, we have that Amazon, Flipkart sale, they reduce the price drastically, and due to that, the second-hand market value just goes crazy. So you lose a lot of money. So again, think of these smartphones as a tool which will depreciate over time. And again, it depends how much of a duration that you use your smartphone. But typically, I would say for most users, they might use it if they are an aggressive user about a year. But most users will easily be able to use their smartphones for about 1.5 to about 2 years. That's the sweet spot, I would say. And iPhones, if you are just careful, I would say they do age well, easily about 2.5 to 3 years. They can easily go. But again, they depreciate. So the typical life, if we are looking at, is about 1.5 to 2 years. And I would say now in 2019, the mid-range smartphones have become so good that around the price point of 15,000, you are getting great phones. It's not like you have to spend 50, 60, 70, 80,000 to get a good phone now. In fact, in terms of battery life, the best battery life we get is with mid-range Android phones. And also the cameras have now become very good. For example, just about 2 weeks ago, I had posted a camera comparison between the flagships like the iPhone, the Samsung flagship, and there was one more, and mid-range phones from Realme and Xiaomi. And the Realme and the Xiaomis that were for around 15, 16,000 actually did very well. So it's not like that now the cameras on these mid-range smartphones is also sort of junk. So I would say as of now, if you're buying a smartphone, just for your basic need, you need the smartphone for taking calls, doing your daily work, some photographs and stuff. You really need to spend more than around 15,000, plus or minus 5-6%, because the prices change. So you are getting actually a really good phone for around 15,000 now. So above that, if you are actually spending, for example, now we have a lot of phones, Android flagships costing 50, 60, 70, 80,000. iPhones, they cost a lot more, over a lakh. You are just paying for the brand. And this is very particular in India. I'd say many of the people buy flashy iPhones, the top end, just for the brand image. And I feel that is really, really sad, because I see many youngsters or people who have just taken jobs buying smartphones almost 3 times the price band of their salary. And if you do that, it is really, really stupid. And I get it. You are falling into this trap because these days, most of the vendors, these e-commerce companies actually give you options of buying these expensive smartphones and an EMI, and you get easy instant approval. But I would say, don't ever buy a smartphone on EMI. Look at the full price. If you're not comfortable paying the full price of the smartphone, then that smartphone is simply not for you, because it's a depreciating asset. Let's say you take it on an EMI for about a year or 8 months. What is the value of the damn phone after 8 or 12 months? Almost nothing. So you're just burning up money just for that brand image or whatever. You really don't need a smartphone more than 15,000 for your basic needs. It's not like if you buy a regular mid-range phone or a fancy flagship phone, the other party, your boss, will sound sweet, or your girlfriend will sound a lot sweeter. It's going to be the same. The experience, almost 90% of the experience, daily texting, emailing, replying to people, talking to, everything is almost the same, because the general mid-range smartphones have become so good. Yes, I agree, in certain areas the flagships are still better, but are they 4, 5, 7 times better than the mid-range? That is something you have to answer. And I would say, don't buy it on an EMI. If the price, whatever that price might be, 40,000, 50,000, 70,000, a lakh, if you're okay paying that full amount, then you can afford it. If you're not, then you can't afford that smartphone. Don't buy it on EMI and get into that stupid trap. I see many people falling into that trap. So don't do that. Buy it on the full price. That way, that means you can actually afford it. And again, instead of buying very expensive smartphones, for youngsters, this advice is go with the mid-range smartphone, and that excess money that you have, maybe let's say you're buying a mid-range phone for 15 or 17,000, and that excess money that is left over, maybe you're going for an iPhone that's 60, 70,000. Pay that up for your bike loan or a car loan or any other thing, instead of just putting that money in a depreciating asset like a smartphone. The smartphone has to be one of the most depreciating asset that you can ever buy, and you have to constantly keep buying it again and again. For example, why I gave an example of a bike or a car. For example, if you're buying a bike, at least it lasts for 5-6 years, and it is a useful thing for you to move from A to B, and that way I would say it's better. But smartphone, if you're not comfortable with the full price, don't buy it on a EMI. And now, personally talking about myself, yes, as I'm a tech reviewer, I buy a lot of phones. I've purchased this crazy fold for 1,65,000. I paid in full, even the iPhone. But let's say if I was not a tech reviewer, what would I have done? I can buy any phone I want, because I've been working now for about 25 years. I have been frugal with my money. I know what to spend, what not to spend on stupid things. I don't like to show off to people just for the sake of it. It's the most stupid thing that people can do. Youngsters do that a lot. Sorry to say that. But personally, I would say if I have to buy a new smartphone right now, and as if I was not a tech reviewer, I wouldn't have spent more than 30,000 rupees. Around that 30,000 price point, I wouldn't be willing to spend, because it simply does not make sense. Even that phone, whatever I buy for 30,000, might last for about 1.5 to 2 years. And now at the 30,000 price point, at least in India, you can get smartphones with the best Qualcomm processor. That's the Snapdragon 855 or 855 plus. It has actually pretty good cameras, decent cameras, good overall performance, and it can easily last for about 2 years. So I don't see a point of buying a 70,000, 80,000 or a 1 lakh phone just to show off, because I know it's a depreciating asset. Instead of that, I would put that money in something rather more useful. So I hope this video makes sense, and I know this is slightly off topic, but I want to get this point across. Don't put a lot of money on smartphones if you can't afford it, because it is definitely a depreciating asset. And if you're in early life, don't go about that wasting your money to just show off stuff. You will regret in the future. So I'm okay if you are earning well and you can afford that smartphone for the full price, 75,000. Yeah, go ahead and buy it, but don't buy it on EMI. Anyways, guys, that is it for this video. Again, I know this is slightly off topic. What do you guys think about the same? Should I cover some of the off topic stuff that I always get into mind? I see people doing it. Should I cover those kind of topics on this channel? Do let me know in the comment section below. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. This is Ranjit, and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care, guys.